Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Today's guest is Governor Jim Gibbons. Congressman Jim Gibbons. Paul Enos has the rundown.
He served in the State Assembly and the House of Representatives. Now Congressman Jim Gibbons is looking at coming back to Nevada and running for governor. Sam?
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Carole, Vilardo, Bilyeu, and Bob Barengo. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
Where do I want to go?
Me?
Denver. Anchorage, Alaska.
Atlanta. Vancouver.
Chicago.
We can help you get where you need to be or want to be. Reno Tahoe International Airport. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
Anywhere.
Minneapolis.
St. Paul.
Over 170 daily flights, non-stop service to 19 cities and connections everywhere else. Reno Tahoe International Airport, dedicated to moving you.
Jupiter.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment. This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And we welcome to the program Congressman Jim Gibbons. I'm joined by Paul Enos of the Retail Association of Nevada, one of our proud sponsors, to help in the questioning today. Welcome, Congressman. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Sam, thank you. Paul, nice to see you.
We had an announcement this morning from Dean Heller that he is running for your seat in 2 years from now. Are you concerned about that threat?
Well, you know, I like Dean Heller. He's a nice guy. He's done a great job as Secretary of State. You know, Dean is an up-and-coming star of the Republican Party, and I think Dean will make a choice to do whatever he wants to do, and he will run for what he wants to run. I'm supporting my wife in this election, so I know where my allegiance and my loyalty lie.
So at this moment, then, you just confirmed that you are running for governor.
I did not.
I believe you said you were supporting your wife for running your seat. So
well,
are you going to be out of work in 2 years?
Well, let us, you know, first of all, let us be quite candid. We established a exploratory committee to look at the viability of a governor's campaign.
Headed up by Sig Rogich?
Headed up by Sig Rogich and Paul Laxalt, and we are going to take this opportunity in the next few months to make that decision on the viability of it. So, you know, we will have an announcement at the appropriate time.
And based upon that, we'd like to continue this interview in the basis of presuming that you are going to run for governor. And I know you can't confirm that, but we need to ask you questions that are appropriate.
We've had, the state of Nevada has had some of the most contentious legislative sessions in history, according to some of the people who have been there longer than I have. What can we expect from a Governor Jim Gibbons administration?
Well, first of all, let me say that the governor's election is not until 2006. Today, we have an elected governor, we have an elected legislature that is going to be in the next legislative session here shortly in the next few days, starting to look at the issues that are important to Nevada and the citizens of the state. I think once that legislative session has completed, and we will then have an idea of what the work needs to be done in the next legislative session by the next governor. So it's difficult at this point in time to tell you exactly what it is going to be, what's going to be taking place. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in this legislative session. I was very pleased that the governor announced that he was going to give a rebate of $300 million back to the citizens of the state of Nevada for the surplus that was out there.
Well, you have some basic philosophies. People will know you as the author of the Gibbons Tax Initiative, which requires a 2/3 majority to pass taxes, as Education First, which reaffirms that 2/3 majority and says you have to fund education first in the budget. Can you go over some more of the basic philosophies that you would take to the governor's office?
Well, one of the things that I'm trying to do now in the next couple of years as a United States Congressman is change the Nevada Public Lands Act, the Southern Nevada Public Lands Act, to get more money out of the acquisition of public land into the private sector, that money that comes out, to go into the education basis.
And you're talking about bumping it from about 5% to about 35%.
Exactly, exactly. And if you look at just the fact that the last sale of public land in Las Vegas brought nearly $1 billion worth of revenue into the federal government at the sale of one of these pieces of land, had it been a 35% fee on that part of that profit that the federal government picked up, that $350 million would have gone into the Nevada school system. And think what we could do in education with that kind of money. And after all, growth is something that we're all complaining about, but it's something that we need to have help pay for the problems, and one of them is the increased educational demands in our communities. So having this process reshape our educational revenues, I think, is critical for the state of Nevada.
You know as well as I do that the National Education Association has gone after you. They've given you essentially a failing grade. How do you respond to that?
Well, I have my kids in public school, and they're all entitled to their own opinions, and I don't know what they base it on. I've always been there to support education. I've supported education as a legislator. So you'll have to ask them why they made that decision.
It's probably because it's full of liberal Democrats, and that's who they like to support.
Let's talk about your wife, Dawn Gibbons, running for your seat for Congress. There's already been a lot of discussion in the press and in the political world about this, that you're coming back to Nevada. Now she's heading off to Washington, potentially. Dina Titus said just too much of the Gibbons is for Nevada. What's your response to Senator Titus, who might be, a candidate against you? You know,
let me say that Dawn is a public servant who has earned every bit of the respect that she's had on her own. Dawn is an individual who has really risen to her own level of performance on her own. She isn't standing in the shadow of Jim Gibbons. She is out there doing what Dawn thinks is best for the state of Nevada, best for the 2nd Congressional District. If that's what she wants to do, then I support her.
Okay, let's take a break. We have lots more with Congressman Gibbons right after this on Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
Siegfried and Roy presents Darren Romeo.
There's magic in his voice, and there's music in his magic.
Brilliant young talent like this is very rare.
The music of the night. I'm Darren Romeo.
Unbelievable. Wow. Fantastic.
Dinner and show package from $27.95. Call the Eldorado at 786-5700.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And we're here with Congressman Jim Gibbons, and I want to change topic a little bit.
Sure.
If I were to ask most people in the state of Nevada who Samuel Bodman is, they would probably go, who? But he's actually the new Secretary of Energy. Is he better or worse than the previous Secretary of Energy for Nevada?
Well, I think the jury's still out. I don't think the history's been written. I think every previous Secretary of Energy, from Richardson to the latest secretary, have shown that nuclear waste and Yucca Mountain have always been a top priority for them. They've never once pulled the plug when they could. I'm going to say that the jury's still out on this Secretary of Energy.
He hasn't made any steps towards the Nevada delegation at this point?
No. I've not talked to him, but he would have had to have talked to Senator Ensign and Senator Reed on his appointment, because the House doesn't get involved in any nomination process or confirmation process.
Right.
Speaking of that, I understand that the House doesn't get involved, but you do serve on the Homeland Security Committee, and President Bush announced Michael Chertoff yesterday. Mm-hmm. Do you have any opinions on that?
There again is, Paul, that's a judge out of the appellate court that I have had very little knowledge of or experience with in the past. And again, I think I'd have to go back and look at what he has done in the past.
Well, one thing he's done is he co-wrote the Patriot Act.
Right. Well,
does that concern you?
In some ways, that concerns me. But then again, we are the ones that passed the Patriot Act. And like any other piece of legislation, we all know that everything that comes out is never perfect at the beginning, especially when you do it in a very rushed atmosphere as we were doing right after 9/11. And we're constantly having to go back and iron wrinkles out of every piece of legislation when you pass them quickly in an effort to thwart what you see as an immediate, imminent danger or threat to the country.
Okay, let's talk about the fact that Nevada is going to receive $28 million in funding from the Federal Homeland Security Department, which is a big cut from $36 million. Why did we get skunked?
Right. Well, I think each time they look at the static population of communities. Las Vegas's static population is about 500, on any given day, it's about 200 to 500,000 people less, because they don't take into consideration the transient visitor population in these communities. Each time they look also at the rating of a city in terms of its threat on a criteria that the Department of Homeland Security has created. So as that threat diminishes, they start applying resources to the higher threat cities in an effort to make them more prepared. So I think on one hand, it's not good news that we got a cut, but on the other hand, it's good news that we're lowering our status as a security risk. So, there's good news and bad news in that story. We're going to work to get the money back to make sure that we've got our first responders in this state up to speed for any possible act that may happen here.
As a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, you visited Iraq. Can you tell us what you saw on the ground there compared to what we're seeing on the news?
Well, I can tell you a lot of things. I can tell you about all the new schools. 80% of the school children now are in a school at a desk with school materials. That was up from the 20% before we went in there. We built 1,100 new hospitals, and people all over the country are now experiencing health care for the first time, things you don't hear about. the electrical system is up and operating. People were only having about 4 hours worth of electricity before the beginning of the war in 2003. Today, you know, they've got it close to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We were getting the oil system up for the first time so that the economic resources coming back to Iraq to pay for all of the growth and the changes and the improvements in Iraq are beginning to take place. Now, the terrorists, over this period of time, recognize that democracy in Iraq is the biggest threat to them ever. So they are now focusing on anything and everything, and they're elevating their terrorist threat in anticipation of not just the vote, but in anticipation that the establishment of democracy in that country will take away from them an area that they have had in their, I don't know, their region, where they've had sanctuary, where they've gotten resources, where they've gotten support, where they've gotten recruits.
Well, and they're mainly the former Ba'ath Party members, correct?
Yeah, they're the Baathists. They're the people who are out of control now, but they also supported those people who were terrorists.
All right, but how do you feel about the fact that today Prime Minister Alawi is saying that there are certain regions like Fallujah that are not going to be safe for people to vote? Do we go ahead with the elections despite that? Why?
Sam, let me say I believe we should go ahead, simply because even in this country, there's no guarantee that you're going to actually make it to the poll to vote, is there? So if your car breaks down on election day and you can't get to the poll, you lose your right to vote. But there's no guarantee of safety or security in Iraq. And there's only a guarantee that if you offer them the chance to vote, Iraqis have to step up to the plate and make that commitment that they're going to participate in a democracy. I think once you give them that opportunity, you know, in this country, 48% of the people vote in an election. Well, we don't stop elections because not everybody voted. We go forward. If we don't go forward with this election in Iraq, it'll be a huge victory for these terrorists that are coming in and infiltrating and trying to stop this process of democracy. And secondly, I think there will never be another time when elections will be safe, because then they will have achieved a measurable means by which they can stop elections over there.
What do you think about the politicians who are running in Iraq right now on the platform of, if we're elected, we want the United States Army out in the next 90 days or get a commitment?
Hey, you know what? That's Iraq's choice. And this is why we went in there.
Is it really? Is it really?
If Iraq's choice to make that. If
there was a democratically elected leader who said, the United States must leave within 90 days, we would pull out within 90 days no matter what?
I'm sure that once a country says that we are not authorized to be in there, the only way we can be there is with the concurrence of that government of that country. No matter what area, what nation we're in, it has to be with the concurrence. If the government says pull out, we're obligated to pull out. Unless we declare war against Iraq.
That would be a very interesting situation. Yeah. We're out of time. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Sam,
we look forward to you coming back.
We
thank you for your sense of humor as well as for your information that you've given us today. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
It's the next best thing to having your own wine cellar. Come to the Bonanza Casino for a first and fine dining, reasonably priced wines. When you dine at Cactus Creek Southwestern Steakhouse, you can also enjoy a fine bottle of wine at just about the same price you'd pay at the Vineyard, Silver Oak, Robert Mondavi, Rombauer, Cape Red, Jordan, and Duckhorn, just to name a few. And at the lowest prices of any restaurant or casino in Northern Nevada. And remember, all fine wines are not in wine cellars. They're in the Cactus Creek at the Bonanza Casino, where locals come to play.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org. The National Mining Association.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
Wow, what a pundit panel we have for you today. We have Bill Bilyeu, former speaker. We have Bob Barengo, former speaker, and Carole Vilardo with the Nevada Taxpayers Association. Welcome to all of you. Bill, you were just saying something interesting right before we came back on the air here about why Jim Gibbons doesn't suddenly come out and say, I'm running for the governorship right off the bat, but they let this out in passels, but there are reasons why.
Well, several reasons, of course, why he's doing it this way. You have to ask Jim, but number one is this anticipation you get continuing publicity along the line. Plus, two, then I also think that there are some laws concerning finances and raising finances and reporting that you have to comply. You can have a committee out there exploring it, but once you announce and become a candidate, then you have to go into the reporting requirements.
All right, Carole, so this governor's race has started up, and I know that your organization is nonpartisan, but your personal opinion on how things are shaping up for this governor's race that's 2 years out.
I'm not allowed to have a personal opinion on governors, on people races,
okay.
Only issues.
Okay, in that case, what do you think the issues are going to be in the governor's race?
I think probably taxes. Yes. I don't think there's any question because this session is going to deal with taxes. You're going to have property tax standing alone, plus all the corrections on Senate Bill 8. You still have people out there that want a gross receipts tax who will probably be speaking to various gubernatorial candidates trying to elicit their support to use gross receipts instead of the modified business tax. So I think those are going to be major issues. There's no question that education is going to remain at the forefront. I think another issue that may wend its way there is also going to be a plan for this state relative to economic diversification. We have a commission on economic development, but we still don't have, at least in my opinion, a coordinated effort between the educational system, the existing businesses, the businesses we want to attract, to solidify how each of those plays to make us a really economically viable state.
It's not surprising since you can't get any coherence within the education establishment itself in terms of K through 12 or the university system either. You can't get any coherence there, let alone any sort of...
But Bill, I agree with you. And that's the reason I think that the next governor has got an obligation to look to try to do something that sets up that plan for the state.
And that's still 2 years down the road. We're looking at this next session in less than a month. Bob, do you think this next session is going to be more contentious than the last one?
I think this session, and I was not present the last session, but I think this session will be more contentious.
Why?
For a variety of reasons. Carole had mentioned some earlier today about the people who now want to say that we were right, you shouldn't have raised taxes that much. They're still there. The people who now want to change to a different tax aspect, that is still there. All the fighting that went on is still present because the same people are coming back, so they still have the animosity, and it's been building over the interim. I think this will be as contentious, if not more. Plus, everybody who wants to come in and fine-tune everything will be bucking what they bucked the last time.
So we have like things that are on the table, the bank tax, where banks have to pay triple the payroll.
On branches, yeah.
And a franchise.
The branch tax is the one that really kills them.
They should instead of giving a refund on car registrations as has been proposed by the governor, that's one of the things that I think that ought to be looked at.
Is refund back to the banks?
Well, I think there needs to be a review of all the taxes they did.
Exactly.
I mean, the business tax, while it's a nominal sum and most people don't mind paying it, it's on a lot of things that were not considered to be businesses and shouldn't be in there. It needs to be more fine-tuned. There's a variety of those kinds of things throughout the whole tax bill that need to be fine-tuned.
Such as hospitals, they're one of the entities that's taxed on payroll. Which, when you think about some of the doctors' salaries.
But turn around again and take a look. You can fine-tune. You can fine-tune by going down to taxable wages
Right.
instead of gross. And you do achieve a certain policy issue when you do that. But the live entertainment tax has corrections that are needed. The business registration tax is a nightmare because while we talk about it as a business registration tax, captured individuals.
Do you think there's any chance we could fix the spending cap under this governor?
The spending cap.
Sooner or later.
On the tax issue?
Well, on the budget issue
the budget
that limits what the state can spend each year.
We have a spending cap.
Yeah, it's called the Ways and Means Committee, the Finance Committee.
Yeah, no, actually, we have it in statute, which I know you know, but you also know.
Constitutionally, we're supposed to have a balanced budget.
But on the spending cap, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because it also needs changes. It sets in a base year back in '74, and it grows from there. The biggest problem with that particular spending cap is the fact that since that period of time, we have moved functions out of the general fund, but we didn't move the expenditures out of the general fund.
How much has the budget grown each year? I know you'll be able to get this number, like in the last 3 sessions, how much has the budget grown?
The last session,
it grew, what, 30%?
the last session
40%?
grew close to 30%. Session before, as memory serves, it was 23%.
But at the same time, the needs of the state have grown significantly as well.
You're going to find in most cases, Sam, that the budget has grown greater than CPI and population increases.
But yet we still lag in things like infrastructure. We still have problems with funding schools.
Well, we have problems. We have problems everywhere in terms of the demand for government services. I mean, on a statewide basis, on a national basis, even on a city basis. I mean, I get a lot of people in my neighborhood are bitching about the lack of snow plows that the city has.
Okay, and unfortunately we're out of time, but I appreciate that last comment. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Where do I want to go? Me? Denver. Anchorage, Alaska.
Atlanta. Vancouver.
Chicago.
We can help you get where you need to be or want to be. Reno Tahoe International Airport. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
Anywhere.
Minneapolis.
St. Paul.
Over 170 daily flights, non-stop service to 19 cities and connections everywhere else. Reno Tahoe International Airport, dedicated to moving you.
Jupiter.
And as always, we love to get your emails. You can write to us at newsmakers@kvbc.com and newsmakers@krnv.com. And who's coming up tomorrow, Paul?
Tomorrow we have congressional candidate as well as Secretary of State Dean Heller and Las Vegas Review-Journal political reporter Aaron Neff.
Should be an interesting show. We'll see you tomorrow.